Hello, and welcome to episode 94 of Gamers and Lost Spark podcast. I'm your host, Antony, and joining me this week, it's the other Spark on the pod, the master of Mario Kart, the Red Shell Baron, a man whose name regularly for us follows damn you, or grrr, it's Mr. James Thomas.
Hello, I will take most of those as compliments.
Hello, sir, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you, yes. Have you recovered from the smarting on Sunday night then?
Yes, I did like that I won the last race.
I was desperately scrambling for excuses after our Mario Kart extravaganza, but I failed to come up with any.
The crown is still mine. I am wearing the crown as we speak. Surely I don't give that up until you beat me again.
I guess the arrangements for our Sunday night gaming now will go on deaf ears until I can actually play you face to face, so I can wrench it back off you.
Yeah, I'm like, sorry, I'm busy. I've got to wash my hair. I've got to do the garden. I've got to do something like that.
Nicholas swallowed the controllers. Yes.
Yeah. Wi-Fi's not working. I'm there hammering my Wi-Fi router so it won't work. So superb. We should obviously address the elephant in the room, or the lack of elephant in the room. Sorry, Daz. Mr. Witham is not with us this week, unfortunately. It's just James and us, so we can talk about cake and we can talk about baking programs and not be told off. But no Darren this week due to conflicting schedules. We are Mr. Withamless, but he'll be back next week for our E3 extravaganza. So when we break down all of the keynotes and go through all of those announcements, so he'll be back next week. But in the meantime, you've got just James and I.
You have to suffer us.
Yeah, indeed, just us two. So, Mr. Thomas, how's your week been?
It's been very good, thank you, very good. It's been a weekend of celebrations. Had a works due on Friday, meeting up with school friends on Saturday, then a friend's barbecue on Sunday, so I'm thoroughly stuffed.
Wow.
Although the weekend weather got to us as classic British weather with the barbecue that we went to as well. Set off, I was wearing shorts, we were prepped, sunglasses, some beer for the garden, and the closer we got to our destination, the other side of the Midlands, the darker the skies got, until we pulled up and it was torrential. We had to hide in the car for 4 or 5 minutes before we could get just that little gap in the weather just so we could run in to our friend's house. And when we got there, it turns out they've obviously done this before. The barbecue was under a makeshift shelter that they'd cobbled together out of a couple of old pallets and some old basically plastic wrap that I think came around the pallets itself, and this was held up by nails on the sides of someone's house.
Wow.
And when I said, this looks rather professional, the dad turned around to me and said, that's version 3. So this is something they've been perfecting over the years, of the ad hoc makeshift barbecue shelter.
Wow. Essential for every British garden, I would say. Indeed.
And underneath it, because it wasn't quite covering everyone, I think it was 4 umbrellas were preventing the rain from getting to the very noble barbecuer who was attempting to turn the sausages at the time. And it was like a little mini water feature, because the rain would come down and collect in the awning they had gathered at the top, so eventually would just cascade off it. And then these 4 brollies would just like shoot up and try and just divert the rain from the chef and the barbecue itself. So it was a novel.
Sounds genius.
Yeah. I mean, I was watching from the dry of the kitchen, so I was just taking it in. But yeah.
Yeah, from the kitchen, it looked fantastic. It looked oh, that's just so cool. So was it a good barbecue? Did you have lots of good food? Was there ribs?
There was, what did I have? The chef did a really nice homemade burger, so beef, chorizo and halloumi. So it was really nice, really nice. He went all out as well, because I think he'd made hummus for the vegetarians. There's a massive platter going on. He did really well. Especially the sun cleared up. The sun came out in about half an hour after we arrived as well. So everyone rolled back into the garden and carried on the festivities. It was good.
Fantastic. I do like a good barbecue. That's one of the things that we're doing right now. We went to Chelsea Flower Show a couple of weeks ago to get some inspiration for our garden, and that's one of the things that I'm looking at, is like a brand new barbecue, other things to go, like a smoker or something like that to go in the garden. You know, I really kind of want to go all out, but it's like, because this weekend we had this cleaning service who I'd used before when we were renting in Tunbridge Wells before we bought a house, and they kind of did that, you know, when you leave and you have to give your keys back. So in order to make sure you get your deposit back, they kind of came and gave us clean. And they did this service where they would clear the garden. So I kind of two guys for 4 hours, they just came on Sunday and they just cleared the entire garden. I just basically said, everything, just take everything. So we are basically just back to, there's some pots with some flowers in, but we are just back to the bare bones. So we can now sketch it out and we can see what our borders are like. We can see what our confines
starting from
like.
Scratch then.
Absolutely, because we've been doing the house up internally, and we haven't really looked outside. We've had the house painted, but we haven't looked outside. So this is like the first summer where we're kind of really going for it. So it's going to be so much fun. But I'm instantly to what gadgets can I get for the garden? What barbecue? You and I were chatting the other day about pizza makers as well.
Yes.
Having a pizza maker in the garden, and that's it. And Nicola was saying, she goes, "You just want to showboat." I was just, because I'm starting thinking like, all right, I'll have a barbecue. I'll be making pizzas, and I'll just be kind of, everyone can have the toppings, and I'll be putting those on the table, but at the same time I'll be smoking ribs, and I was just like, I was going through the process of how I would do my barbecue, and that was my inspiration for how I want my garden.
Is there much at Chelsea Flower Show that actually offers this cuisine quarter of the garden?
Yes, I mean there was lots. I mean there was a portable pizza oven, which I think I sent you a link to. It was a Uni, which was really cool. Yeah. And there was lots of barbecues. They had those big green kettle barbecues. They had the Heston Blumenthal barbecues were there. So in amongst all of these show gardens, they also had lots of stalls and lots of people showing their wares. And there was lots of barbecues. There was lots of an outside seating and outside living. Outside living was a big was a big theme this year, but there was one food truck that was there in one of the food areas, and I think they were at EGX last year. And they were just doing pizzas. So they were doing these very kind of thin, crusty pizzas, and they kind of put them into the oven a couple of minutes, not even that, and they were taking them out. And I was like, and the pizza was so good that I was just like, I want that. I want that in my garden.
This is the joy, because I know you sent me the links to the portable barbecues, but we're getting our garden redone as well. It's at the moment it's basically just a green rectangle that hasn't really seen much love, so we want to just give it a bit of a facelift, and part of that is having the barbecue corner. And for the barbecue, I'm just quite happy having a grill over some bricks, but I want a permanent pizza oven out there, because that one that you sent was really nice and chrome and metal, but I don't think will survive the English summer. Pretty much like most of my barbecues, despite getting covers for them, they tend to go a bit rusty, I think, from just being left out in the elements. But the big thing I just love from the pizza ovens, they look great. Obviously there is that impact as you walk into someone's garden and see that just chimney sticking out from the side of it. But yeah, once you get up to temperature, they can be done in 90 seconds. That was the big advertising on all the websites, like pizza in 90 seconds. The fact it takes like half an hour to heat up to like 500 degrees Fahrenheit or something is by the by.
Still in your head, you've got, I can have pizza in 90 seconds.
Yeah. In fact, I might have to spend an hour or so making the dough beforehand, but I just love the idea of it being that sort of like centerpiece as well, that you can just sit out maybe on not the warmest of evenings and just get that heat rolling out of the pizza oven.
Yes.
I don't think Nuneaton quite really promotes that idealistic, romantic view of sitting out of an evening, with the sirens wailing in the city centre. But hey, we can dream.
Yeah, exactly. You have a pizza oven. Who cares?
Yes.
But that's it. I mean, we went to Torbay. So Nicola and I went to Torbay in March, and there was this. And it was March, so it was quite cold. But they had a pizza oven out in the sitting area where they were just using it, as you were saying. It was almost like a fire. It was just a fire, but it was a pizza oven that they use in the summer, and it was just so nice. Just to kind of sit around. There was some coal on there. There was some wood on there. It smelled amazing, and that was just fantastic. And as you say, because there's a nice deep shelf, you can put anything in there. You can kind of cook in trays and put those in there. It's not just pizza. So it's just I love the idea of all of that. That's exactly what I want. Yeah. Maybe for this summer, end of this summer, but definitely for next year.
You were right though. Darren's away. We talk about baking.
Darren will be editing this going, no, I'm taking that out. So anything else you've been up to the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think since last time I was on the pod, ended up going to a retro game festival over in Warsaw.
Oh, wow.
So friend of the show Manny and friend of the show my brother, we all went over to see what cartridge-based joy they had over there, and it didn't disappoint, because Ali and I had been to one a couple of years prior, and we didn't make it last year's. But the draw for me is not only is it a retro show, but they've got loads of pinball and arcade machines on free play. Just, I love the tactility. I've probably waxed lyrical about this before, but I love the tactility of a good pinball machine. Just knowing that you pressing those buttons and the bumpers going and just feeling the whack of the ball going around the table. I just love it. I mean, I'm not that good at it. I think there was one time when me and Matt were playing, it might have been the Family Guy pinball table. I think I lost all my all the pinballs in about 30 seconds. It gave me a pity ball at the end if I felt so bad about me, but yeah, I just love the mechanical games that still can enjoy today.
Wow. So what did you buy while you were there? Did you pick up any new NES cartridges?
Yes, yeah. I think I'm over 70% of the way to getting the full European collection now, so I managed to pick up one or two. And there were a couple of revelations as well. A few friends mocked me for not knowing this at work, but I didn't realise Contra in America is Probotector over here. I thought they were two completely different games because I've never had either of those in the same place at the same time before.
Right.
So that was something. So I can basically scratch two other games off my list without having to get them. And yeah, just got bits and pieces here and there. And there's a whole selection of really rubbish ones I've still got to get left. And I'm now getting to that point going like, do I have to get every? Oh, I've got to this point. I probably should, but but thankfully some of them are still really playable. So we ended up playing Darkwing Duck for quite a lot of the weekend, because I love finding ones that still hold up, and I think especially the Disney collections, they still have that replayability, especially because of how they're structured. There's so many old games that operate this like arcade mentality of come in, start at the start, we're going to kill you really quickly, so put 50p or press the continue in. Whereas a lot of the Disney ones, things like DuckTales and Darkwing Duck, they've got this Mega Man-esque selection screen at the start, so you don't have to go through from 1, 2, and 3. You can choose like from a selection of levels to begin with, and so it means even if you're rubbish, you still get to experience some of the better parts or the variety those carts have to offer. So it's nice when you dig out one and it still holds up.
That's fantastic. That's superb. Have you seen that there is a Disney Afternoon collection on Xbox and PlayStation 4 at the moment?
Yes, yeah, that's what actually inspired me to target Darkwing Duck when I saw it. It's like, I've heard good things about this.
Because they've got DuckTales, DuckTales 2, Tailspin, which was a great cartoon, Darkwing Duck, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, and Rescue Rangers 2 are all on one collection. I've been tempted. My finger has hovered over that buy button many times, like just on a whim on a Friday night or something like that. I'm like, I could really do with playing DuckTales. But it's not the remaster of DuckTales, is it? It's the original that came out in 89.
It's the original, yeah. So it's probably just a quick emulation job, but I hear the games stand for themselves, so it's you could do a lot worse.
Oh, fantastic! So you came away arms full of booty then on that Saturday.
Yeah, it's one of those like arms full of booty, and please don't ask me how much they cost, Ali. That sort of that sort of combination.
They didn't cost much. So do you display them at home? Have you got them? Are they out on display? Are they in a cupboard, or or do you have a proud collection of all of the NES cartridges?
They're in they're basically on a bookshelf.
Right.
Because I'm not a big fan of getting the boxes, because that way madness lies. One, it jacks the price up, and two, that I'd be too worried about, frayed edges and making sure they weren't creased, and don't pick that up and opening it the right way. So the fact that the cartridges themselves are really durable, they're basically hunks of plastic you can throw in a Tupperware box, like as I did when I was a kid. And so I just stack them all as if they were books on a bookshelf. So it's quite nice just going in and then leafing through, figuring out which one I want to have a dabble with.
Oh, that's just fantastic. Because I guess at the spine that you have pointing out, I guess that has the name of the game on each one of them, doesn't it? Because that would be the top of the cartridge.
Yes, yeah, just that little sticker, that little bit of colour poking out.
Oh, that just sounds so good. That sounds like such a good thing to see on a bookshelf.
It's such a nerdy. It's in our spare room as well, so when anyone stops over, they get the full wave of how nerdy my hobby is.
That's just so cool. Fantastic. Yeah. Superb.
And how's your week been? Have you been up so much?
Yeah, not too bad actually. I think kind of biggest thing for me was I went to see Wonder Woman on Saturday.
Grand.
We went to see Wonder Woman in 3D IMAX. So I'm always a little bit. It's quite funny because I was a big advocate of 3D, and I do enjoy 3D in some movies. But I kind of sigh now when I see 3D IMAX because I've been to a couple of really good 2D IMAX presentations at Bluewater at the Showcase Cinema. So I enjoy IMAX as in the big screen, the big sounds. But I'm kind of getting that. Really, do we have to have 3D? Because 3D IMAX means ginormous glasses, not just little glasses. These are big ones. Exactly. So, went along and went to see Wonder Woman, which shocker, spoiler, it's a surprise to everyone. But I really
likes
enjoyed
superhero
it.
Film.
Yeah. Did you like it? Yes, I did. I really enjoyed it. I came away thinking that was such a great origin story for Wonder Woman. It kind of reminded me of Captain America. It kind of reminded me of that kind of Captain America vibe, and it. You did kind of think, why isn't that movie? Why didn't that movie come out before Batman vs Superman? Why didn't we have this movie where it should be placed? Because the whole movie is basically predicated on that picture that Bruce Wayne found, which you can see kind of Chris Pine and Wonder Woman all kind of standing there in a row, and right at the start, Diana Prince just kind of has that, and then she relives how she got that photo, how that photo was taken, and it's just such a great, it's a really good movie. I just really enjoyed it. I loved the all of the Amazonian bit when you're in Themyscira. I just really enjoyed the movie as a whole. I just sat there and just was just without spoilers, because there were some points that I kind of, once we finished, Nicola and I had our kind of a traditional chat about the movie, which she did not like, but
you could always sense that from the way you're speaking. There was a certain amount of hesitation.
Yeah, and so when she didn't like the movie, but I think part and parcel of that was due to the fact that we did actually, for the first time at Showcase Cinema, there was actually a little bit of annoyance from someone in the cinema, where they had brought a 3-year-old along to this 12A movie. And halfway through the movie, the 3-year-old said, "I don't want to be quiet, I want to sing," and started to sing.
Oh my word.
So when they tried to take the little child out, she was screaming the whole time. So it was kind of like, A, why are you bringing a 3-year-old to a 12A movie? A 12A movie with violence.
Yeah.
And B, why? Just why?
My mind boggles at that, because when we went to see things like Moana and Frozen, you expect a certain age group to want to go along there, and I think you build that into your acceptance of what you're about to see.
Yes.
To be honest, it's about the only time Ali will let me sit really close to the screen, because all the kids are at the back making noise, so we try and create a buffer zone anyway.
Yes.
But you expect it, because this is a kids movie. They don't quite know the code of conduct just yet, but there's a certain level, because I know 12A, I think the BBFC recommend minimum age 8 or 9 for that. I forget which one it is.
It's about 8, yes.
Yeah. But my mind boggles at that point in time. It just seems that parents just wanted to see it and they couldn't find a babysitter.
Yes, I think, but the thing that irked me is that to get to that screen, you had to pass 2 people who worked at Showcase Cinema, and the tickets would have said Wonder Woman, 12A, and yet they let this 3-year-old kind of come through, and to start off with, you saw the 3-year-old kind of coming up the stairs, and he had a big old pair of IMAX glasses, and I thought, oh, that's really adorable, that's really cute, but
and they went, wait a minute,
halfway into the movie when it. And like I say, the parent tried to take the child out, but didn't take the child all the way out. Was pretty much just under the stairs, so you could just hear this child screaming, and it was terrible. It really was. I think someone actually asked her to be quiet or asked her to take the child out, and she actually threw something at the guy. Also all of this, I think, is why Nicola probably, because she was right on the aisle. She likes to sit in the aisle, so she was on the aisle, kind of getting a lot of this. I think it just detract from the awesomeness that is Wonder Woman. So when she watches it again on Blu-ray, I'm sure she's going to love it.
When you sit her down to watch it. Now, Nicola, this is why it was good.
Yes, this is the extended edition that we're going to watch.
No, but you can't leave.
Exactly. I mean, I thought it was amazing, and Gal Gadot is Wonder Woman. You know, Gal Gadot has this kind of quality about her that is otherworldly, and she is just fantastic as Wonder Woman. I just absolutely just was there, just drinking this movie up and just really enjoying it, you know, and it was just a really good superhero movie, and you know, PSA, there are no after credit scenes, because again, I made my poor wife sit for about 10 minutes watching the credits, but I enjoy it. I enjoy watching the credits because I always like at the end they have all of the comic book creators that have maybe kind of pitched into this movie, so where they have the big thanks, there's always the creators of that character, and then there are other comic book people, whether it's an artist or a creator that is listed there, and I always quite like that, think, oh, they spoke to Jim Lee, or they did this, and it's just really, it's quite nice. So I enjoy that anyway, and I was secretly waiting for, you know, Batfleck to appear on the screen, but it never happened. So
were you hoping for like that Samuel L. Jackson moment where they sort of comes to recruit, like on the precursors to the Avengers?
Yes, exactly. It's like, I need to get the Justice League together, you know. So it's very cool. So it's all leading up to, you know, we've got October, November, December. I'll get it right. October, November, December this year, where we have Thor, Justice League, and Star Wars. So it's kind of all leading to that Justice League moment now. So we have Wonder Woman's kind of set, and the next DC movie is Wonder Woman. The next Marvel movie is Spider-Man, and that's in a couple of weeks' time.
Cool.
Can't wait. So, what have you been playing?
Well, apart from NES games, the most thing I've been playing is probably Rhyme. And it hasn't really been sinking its hooks into me that much.
Right.
Because I know you've been playing it as well, and you really enjoyed it from what I saw on Twitter or so. So Rhyme is an adventure that reminded me very much to begin with of Zelda.
Yes.
Different parts of the Zelda universe as well, because you wake up on a beach, very much like the Game Boy game, which name falls out of my head right now. And so then you go start exploring an island, and you see some statues and have to move it around. And it started off quite nicely, and I was quite optimistic for it. But very quickly, I just found it a bit obtuse, and it was quite janky in the way you actually navigated the world, because it just didn't feel smooth. Like the character's motions when he was jumping, or he gets stuck on tree roots and just trying to get about through little gaps, it just didn't have that motion that you think this is a smooth adventure. I really can just throw this character anywhere, we can run around the environment together. It almost then made me take a step back and go, I have to really look where I'm going. There was not the freedom that you can get elsewhere. That, and I think the first puzzle they throw at you, and actually quite a few puzzles throughout it all, they don't have that. There's not an intuitive sense of what you need to do. So I don't think it's a spoiler to say, like, the very first area that you come to in Rhyme is, there's like a statue of what looks like it could be like a pig or a fox. It's hard to say. It's quite smoothed off, and there's ears. I'll definitely give you ears and a snout. And there's 4 or 5 little smaller ones around and about. And I think it just kept giving me mixed messages about what to do very early on, because there were plants that were glowing that said, hey, come take a fruit. And there were pigs wandering around. So I thought, okay, these are pigs. Maybe I need to get the pigs on the... Whereas in certain things like Portal in Zelda, they're very clear about, this is a puzzle. This is how you do the first puzzle, and this is how you interact with the world. It really got off on a bad foot by basically confusing me. And I can completely see that if other people got different cues from the world first off, because there are some lights that shine in the sky, if you chose to focus on that, maybe you could stream through that first area very quickly and get on with the rest of the world. But it didn't get off to a good start with me. And I think if every moment after that, I've been sort of judging it possibly slightly too harshly. But yeah, because you've finished it, you've got through it, and I know that you've had a better experience with it.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think I was saying to you kind of like when you were struggling kind of halfway through, I really enjoyed the first level. I really enjoyed that opening level, and I'm the same as you. Like when you started playing, you were like, "This feels like Zelda," and and it's really funny because I was playing it on the smaller TV, and to my left, Nicola's playing the Breath of the Wild, so she's just scaling rocks and doing whatever she wants, and I'm trying to emulate that on my TV because I played it on Xbox, so I'm trying to play it on the smaller TV, and obviously I can't climb, I can't do this, I can't grab that thing, so there was that element of you had to almost condition yourself to think this isn't a Breath of the Wild clone. This isn't going to kind of fill that void, deep void that's in my life right now. It's not going to fill that. So I just I very much kind of took it for what it was, and then I started thinking, this feels like Journey, this feels like Ico, it feels like The Witness, and you started describing this game. And when Nicola was saying, "Oh, that looks quite good, how are you having fun?" I was describing it with other games. I was like, it's a bit of this, it's a bit of that, and was enjoying it. And like I say, I think there were probably a couple of clues or cues that I took that were maybe different from you, because I saw those pigs, and I picked up a fruit, and suddenly the other one started following me, and they followed me all the way over to the other pig, and then I got an achievement for that, and that was like, oh great, that's it. Oh, I can see what it's doing now with these visual clues, and then obviously you can't get this boar out the way, so you have to entice it with fruit and stuff. So I was like, yeah, I quite like this, but there was, I think similar to you, I think there's an area that is incredibly dark. And I was so frustrated to the point where I was like, "What do you want from me?"
I'm quite happy to, because there's. It's not spoiler to say you have to do a maze in the dark.
Yes.
And I'm going to switch to a positive, because I think this game is okay. I'm going to go no more than that and no worse than that, because I do not think it is a bad game. I just don't think it is a good game.
6 out of 10 from James.
But it has some really nice puzzles to it. There are certain aspects where it uses light really well, so you have to move a portable light source in amongst a forest of statues and just get them to line up just right, or you have to manipulate the certain statues in other ways and get them to line up so that you get I guess almost like a visual illusion of certain objects being arranged despite being at very disparate distances away. So it has some really nice aspects to it, but then it throws at you mazes in the dark. And I think the cardinal sin for a lot of puzzles for me, there's at least on 3 occasions they sent you into mazes where there were dead ends or nothing to find. Because it looks like it's a huge world. It looks like Rime is a huge world that you want to explore, but it is a corridor disguised as a huge world, and if you dare go anywhere else, you'll either find absolutely nothing and get forced to backtrack because allegedly that's a puzzle, or you'll just find an invisible wall. And I think this is what I am honestly not comparing it to Breath of the Wild, but it has got me frustrated because I really wanted to like this more. It did invoke images of Journey for me, like your cape flapping around your back and as you run across the sandy landscapes. I wanted it to be more like Journey. I wanted that fluidity of movement, that fun of just going around the world. But for every statue light puzzle it gave me, it then gave me 3 dead ends as I shouted at pots.
Yes. But no, I totally mean that dark maze. That was one of the points for me that I was really kind of. That was another one where you're screaming at your TV, going, "I can't do this," and
where's the brightness control?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I did. I went to the game setting and I turned the brightness all the way up, and suddenly I could see the path. I could see the clear path, and I just did that because I was there I think I had like a session. It was maybe on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon, but I only had a couple of hours, and I was spending a good 45 minutes kind of trying to get out this maze. So I was like, no, I'm done, because because this is going to suck all my time and I'm going to end up being very frustrated with it. So I just upped the brightness in the in-game setting and completed that and went on about my game. And the thing that got me was that I finished the game, I completed the game, but I only got about 28% of the achievements, because it doesn't really, as you're saying, it doesn't really kind of challenge you to come away from that immediate puzzle solve and then move on. It doesn't go, oh, there's an open world and you can go over here and you can do this and you can do that. And even when I finished the game, I was kind of scanning down the achievement list. I couldn't really see anything that really was kind of grabbing me or inspiring me to kind of jump back into the game at certain points.
Are they all hidden collectibles?
Yes, they are. I mean, I got one for shouting at a lot of pots. I got one for navigating around some people without disturbing them and things like that. But that was just my gameplay. But all the rest of them were just kind of hidden and collectibles and things like that. So I was just like, I finished this game. And have you finished it now?
No, I'll be honest. I don't know if I've got the willpower.
Right, because I finished the game, and the game ends in such an amazing way that made me happy, sad, and almost a little kind of choked up. That I now have, even though now I'm talking, I was frustrated that bit, but I have good vibes about Rime. I won't play it again, because my idea was that Darren and I got sent some codes for Rime. So I played it, and I thought, well, do you know what, I'm going to play it on Xbox, and then I'll play it again on the Switch. And I won't be playing it again on the Switch when it comes out, because it's not out yet. It's only out on PC, PlayStation 4 and Xbox. But I thought, when I finished it, I was like, I had a good time. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I was quite elated. I thanked the developer afterwards, because it really did leave me at that point where I, was choked up or was happy, and I enjoyed, especially the last world, the last lots of puzzles are really they really do kind of get to a nice crescendo and just leave you feeling good. So that was, even though it annoyed me and frustrated me in the middle, the end was really was satisfying. Okay,
yeah, because I can see how you can enjoy it as well. I'm not that far into the why am I playing this camp that I've forgone that sort of clarity. I could see that I think if I was just a touch more forgiving, I could really get into it. So I think it's one of these that I think might be polarizing, because I've heard a lot of people either like it or get rubbed up the wrong way about it. I haven't seen anyone really come out saying this is the best thing since sliced bread or hating it. So it's quite interesting that these things come out and do that, because they're so often nowadays. Like you look at what the games we've had for the rest of the year that we've just had, everything is pretty much oh my god, 10 out of 10, play it.
Yeah,
it's actually nice to finally get a game that we have different opinions on for once.
Yes, absolutely, and some point of it is Zelda's just ruined gaming for us this year. It's just because it's just so awesome. I mean, I've even found myself, I've been on a few long distance commutes, and apart from a game of some games of Mario Kart, because I had a colleague come back with me from Manchester. Apart from some games of Mario Kart, I've been playing Zelda. Again, so I've actually got all of the memories, and I've attacked the castle, and I've taken on the mighty Gammon, as Darren would say. I've taken on Ganon again, because I got all of the memories, and it was a different ending for once you had all of the memories. So I did that again, because that game just I can just go back into that game and just play around with it, and part of it is because Nicola is still deep into it. She's always got every shrine. She's on a mission to get every Koroko seed, so every time she's always playing it. So I keep going, oh god, that looks so good. Oh, I want to play some more of that. Oh, so I keep jumping back in, and nothing adds up to that game. Nothing kind of compares to that game at the moment. And I was hoping that Rime would kind of be that, but it was good, and I enjoyed it, and I had a good time. But it's no Zelda.
Oh.
So what else have you been playing?
Well, speaking of seeds, he says.
Oh, segue.
I've really been enjoying Tumbleseed, and I think that came out probably about maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago now. But it's something that just keeps getting me to go back for 15-20 minutes here and there. And it's effectively a roguelike, but it's as if you were playing a roguelite with a marble.
Right.
So it's set in a really nice, colourful, like organic world. You're a little rolling seed, and you're in a village of seeds, and the mountain that you live next to has been taken over by a great evil. And you have to try and scale this mountain to try and defeat the baddie. But it's effectively like... Do you remember those marble games that you got when you were younger that was on a 2D grid, like the Labyrinth, and you had to slowly rotate each side to get it to rotate and roll around the maze and avoiding the holes?
Yes.
It's that, but on a vertical scroller. So you, using the left stick and the right stick, control both ends of a stick. So if you shove the left stick up, the left side goes up. If you shove the right stick down, it goes down, and so you can get it to tilt to the right-hand side of the stick. And so you have to navigate up this screen full of holes. So if you fall down, you can lose health. And then there's enemies that can come after you as well. There can be little worms that crawl after you, or spiders that jump and attack you. Wow. And so it's just this really nice, novel control scheme mixed in with just basically a very traditional, simple mechanic. And it's really taken me. I really like it. Possibly because it is so unique to everything else that's out there at the moment. And I think it's a really good fit for the Switch as well, because it's the kind of thing that I've been just pulling out from my bag. If I get back for a run at lunchtime at work, 10 minutes left, I'll give it a quick go on there. So yeah, it's just really nice. But it's actually got a real big difficulty curve as well, because I think my thumbs just aren't used to that way of thinking. I think we're all conditioned at how platformers work and how shooters work. But when you get something like Tumbleseed, where in a moment of stress, as you've got to try and pirouette round a hole whilst dodging a spider that's coming leaping out of nowhere, your thumbs basically go, I don't know, governor, and just spasm. It's something I haven't quite learned how to do under stress yet. So it's really nice, just like getting to a certain point. Then I can almost see the end coming as just baddies just creep in on me from all angles. It's. I really recommend people, at very least, checking out the videos just to see that style and see if it's worth them playing.
That's fantastic. So are you using, is it your tilt controls or is it your Joy-Con controls that you're just kind of moving it up and moving it along? And
do you know what? I haven't actually looked to see if there's any tilt controls on this yet.
Because it sounds like it would really match a tilt controls, doesn't it? It sounds like you could really kind of like move your Switch around and then for it to just
I'll have a look, because it's out on Switch, and I think it's out on Xbox, PlayStation. It's definitely out on PC.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's out on multiple platforms, but I don't know if they've done a special version for that tilt control. I'll have to have a gander at that.
That's really interesting. So it is available on all platforms, I guess relatively cheap, or
I think it was like £12-15 if I remember right. But I think for me it's worth it. It's not you're not gonna sink into it like it's a Zelda or a Rhyme, whereas you've got this massive adventure. I think just the very nature of it, like you can get a good run for 10-15 minutes, maybe have a retry or so, but it's the kind that you have little and often.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I guess the great thing about the Switch is that you're instantly into the game, aren't you? You know, if you put your Switch to sleep by just pressing the power button at the top, you can, like you say, you've got 10 minutes left of your lunch break, you can just press it and you're not waiting for the thing to boot up, or you're not waiting for a game to load, because you're just instantly from where you were this morning. You know, that's one of the things I've done that with. I've done that on a commute where I go from train to tube to train. I've done that there, so I've kind of been on the train, pulled into Euston Station, halfway through a Mario Kart race, just turned off the Switch, and then sat on the tube and gone, right, I'm ready, I've got all my fingers where they should be, and then just press it and then off I go, and I'm straight back into the race. So I guess because of that functionality, the Tumbleseed is just, like I say, you can just easily jump straight back in. Yeah,
it's really good. It's perfect for those sort of things.
That's just so cool. That's fantastic. I'm going to check that out. And I have seen it, because, like I say, I have been looking for another game to play. And you know, friend of the show, Matt did say, and yourself as well, did say that I should jump into Lego City Undercovered. On the is that the title on Switch?
Yeah, Lego City Undercover.
That's it.
Yeah, it came out, I think, in the first 6 months of the Wii U's launch, and so I think almost like a lot of gamers do when they buy a new console, if there's something new and shiny and exclusive, then there's a good chance they'll pick it up. So pick that up, and it turned out to be my favourite ever Lego game. I think still to this day. It was possibly because it was one of the first open world ones they did, so this was before the Avengers, the Marvel game. But I think this one, for me, has the edge because it isn't... And I don't mean this dismissively of the other franchises, but I don't think it's encumbered by the IP. Like, if you've got something like Marvel, you have to have your world a certain way. With Telltale, you have to have your Game of Thrones games a certain way. Whereas, I think because it was just a Lego game by a Lego company with a Lego story, I think they just relaxed a little. I think they got far more... pop culture references, far more casual things going on. Like they have, like you know the minifigs that you can actually collect, the blind bags that you can buy with the minifigs in them.
Yes,
they had them as unlockable characters, which I think was a really nice extra. So you could just suddenly be walking around town and there'd be a man dressed as a lizard, talking to a clown next to a short dwarf, juggling axes. But yeah. It's really nice because it is just their world.
Oh, that's just fantastic. I did have a look on Amazon Prime. They haven't got it kind of on Amazon Prime, but I had another quick kind of Google around, and Argos have a copy. Have a couple of copies in my kind of local Argos. So I was I'm going to pick it up tomorrow. I'm going to just kind of wander into. I was going to wander into town this afternoon, but meetings at work and rain.
So much rain.
Yeah, so much rain kept me in the house. So I thought, no, I'm not going out the game. So I'm going to go do a click and collect in the morning and kind of pick it up. So I have it on my Switch. I'm going to buy it physical so Nicola can play on hers, and I'll have it ready for my commute into London on Friday.
Oh, that's great. Do you know it's got the best DLC as well?
Oh, right, really?
Physical Lego. Like, forget your Lego Dimensions. Forget it. When it first came out, they actually did a series of the Cops and Robbers, for want of a better term, Lego, the Lego City stuff. And with each of the sets that featured the characters from the game, they had a little DLC code in that allowed you to unlock races or vehicles in it.
Oh, wow, really?
It was such a good excuse to get more Lego.
Such a good idea. See why forget Lego Dimensions. That's what they should do with all of the Lego packs. It's like you got Thor Ragnarok packs that are coming out, so they should open up something for Lego Marvel Avengers 2 when it comes out. What a great idea!
It's because it wasn't like a full blown. The nice thing about it was it wasn't like an Xbox code or a PlayStation code. It was effectively a cheat code, so I'm sure you could find it somewhere on the internet or something.
Right.
But yeah, it was just delightful that you're building your. What was it? I think I was building the police car, and I might have remembered this wrong, but I'm pretty sure the unlock code was like on the number plate or something like that. So
right. Yeah. Oh, that's just such a great idea. And then any other games you've been playing this week?
So the last thing I've been playing, as I think we hinted at the start of the show, was a bit of Mario Kart, because for anyone who follows us on Twitter, might have seen since probably March that we might have been trying to persuade my younger brother.
Trolling him,
yes. Matt, buy a Switch. And he's finally succumbed after all this time. He was going to... I think he had pre-ordered it for Splatoon 2.
Yes.
But I think he just saw a really good deal for Mario Kart over the weekend, so cancelled his pre-order, bought this, and it was amazing to actually get him online on Sunday night so we could have a game. So you, me, Manny and Matt had a few races, and it was good. It was good.
It was so much fun. It was, especially I loved the last race in which I won. Because I think our ratio, our win to loss ratio between you and I, because it tells you whenever you go into a character, I think it's like 84-6 in your favour. So I'm not just being a ungracious winner. I'm just taking what I can get.
Take it what you can. Take it while you can.
So yeah, I think it is like 84, 86 to 4, and it's just every time I see it, I'm like, I'm never going to get that back. It's only going to get worse. So I just ignore it when I kind of go in. But no, it was such great fun. I really enjoyed, because we played some mirror tracks as well. So that was quite good, mixed it up a little bit. But I was just really enjoying it. It's just such great fun. We have to, we'll get into that in the news in a bit, but we have to, because of the Nintendo Network, have an Xbox party. But I think it was just absolutely hilarious. hilarious. It was just great fun. I mean, if anyone's listening and you have Mario Kart and you want to kind of play, we are kind of thinking about trying to what we want to do is get 12 people, don't we? We want to get the entire grid full of AI. Oh, sorry, not full of AI, away from AI and full of like actual people to race against. So keep an eye on our Twitter feed, because we are thinking about kind of putting together a Sunday night. It will be a UK Sunday night around probably about 8 p.m. And so that's our normal kind of gaming time, and that would be great fun if any of the Sparks listeners can join in and race us in Mario Kart.
It's not just the Sparks listeners. I was very perturbed to see that Spark, Mr. Darren Whittam himself, didn't join us. All this after getting his Switch for his birthday and getting Mario Kart for that, and yet he's afraid to face us on the track.
Yes. Do you know what? He got it for his birthday on Monday. He started to play it and he was just, I'm not as good. I'm just not as good as Antony and James. I can't do it. So he's running chicken. We'll say this because he's probably going to edit the show and he'll be listening to this going, oh, bloody get them. And it's like, so he was obviously chicking on Sunday.
Yeah. We're calling you out, Daz.
Yeah.
Next time.
Gauntlet laid.
So have you been playing anything recently?
Yeah, I've been playing two more games from obviously Rhyme and Mario Kart, but the other two games I've been playing this week is I've been playing Tokyo 42. So this was a game that I saw last year's EGX.
Yes.
So last year's EGX we kind of, it was in the indie area, the rezzed area at EGX, and it really took my eye because it's a very stylized isometric game, and it's finally out on Xbox. I think it's Xbox and PS4, but I've got it on Xbox, and this game is just sublime. It is amazing. Now this game it's an stylized isometric open world shooter, and the music is just, I've just been listening to at one point the opening music, the opening track, I just had it on my headphones. I was just sitting there listening to it on my headphones. I was reading something. I was just listening to the music. I'm really, really enjoying it. It's as hard as nails. It really is hard. So you start with some very easy missions. It's like, right, okay, go over there, snipe from across the way. So you have this isometric view, but you can just quickly turn the world around using your LB and RB on the Xbox One controller. You can just pan the world around so you can see it from a different angle. You know, there's a little bit of jumping you can find, especially in this sniper missions. You can get yourself in a nice little area, kind of jump around and just kind of get yourself a nice area, and then just kind of snipe and take out the target. But so it kind of handheld you through about maybe the first 5 missions, but then after that it was just so hard. There was this one mission where I had to take this guy out with a bomb, and the moment you threw the bomb, you then just had a horde of enemies that were just trying to find you on the map. Luckily, you do have an option where you can press B, and if they can't see you, you can press B and you change your character. So you just change your look. It's very kind of Blade Runner. It's near future kind of stuff. It's so Blade Runner that there's an option to put your Decker jacket on, where you kind of press a button and you don this jacket. It's just so good. I really love this game. It's, like I say, it's really hard, so it's kind of one of those games where I'm playing for an hour at a time, and then I get a little bit frustrated with it, and I go and play something else. But while I'm playing it, I'm really enjoying it, and when you do die mid-mission, you go, okay, what did I do wrong? You know, you're instantly taken back to the start of that mission. You go, okay, what did I do wrong? How can I approach this situation differently? Can I start sniping them first? Can I try and stealth it in there? And so it's a really good game, and it's just a ton of fun.
Nice. I think I managed to come across it as well as AGX last year, and it just reminded me so much of things like, oh my word, the game's dropped out of the head. There was a game in the early 90s where you could... Syndicate, that's it.
Syndicate, yes,
sorry.
Yes.
It just reminded me so much of like a neon version of Syndicate, like just that roaming around, the tiny little pixelated characters and the city to explore. But then the fact you could, I think the first time I saw someone rotate it while I was watching them play, just like blew my mind, because it's not the technical innovation, just the fact that it just made that city come alive, that you could see the depth as the chunky pixels rotated around. So this is something I'm really looking forward to, and I think it's going to be a catchphrase of ours, but I'd love to play this on the Switch. This seems to be like perfect handheld material again.
Absolutely. That kind of, I want to play it for an hour, then I get a bit annoyed with it. It would be perfect for a journey into London in the morning, and then just kind of play a couple of missions and then just move on. And I'm finding that with so much now that I'm just like, I want to play this on the Switch. It's like every time I see it, that's just because it is, especially these kind of indie games. You do just want to be able to just pick up, play, and just play it on the Switch. But Tokyo 42 would be perfect on the Switch.
Yeah.
If a little bit small in handheld, but it would still be very good. It would still be a very good game. And it's kind of a bit like kind of Hitman and Lara Croft Go. It's a bit like that, in its look. But I'll put a link to it in the show notes because it's definitely worth checking out. And if you like the sound and you like the aesthetics, it's worthwhile picking up. It's kind of not that expensive. It's probably a little bit more expensive than Tumbleseed. I think it was about £15 on Xbox One. But I'm having so much fun so far. So Tokyo 42, I'm absolutely loving. And then the last game that I've been playing is I've wrapped up The Walking Dead, The New Frontier. So the third season of The Walking Dead, the last episode of that came out last week. So I sat down and kind of played that. I think it's probably about 2 hours long. And it was a really, really great ending. The season has been good. It kind of gave you some other characters. It still had Clementine was there, and you advanced Clementine's story. It wasn't as good as 1. It wasn't as good as 2. But at the same time, I really did have a good time, and there were some moments that were very tense, and there were some great moments, some great set pieces. But it was it just, I don't know if it was because Walking Dead season 1 was so kind of quote-unquote revolutionary and just kind of was such a great story that you can't compare them anymore. You just have to move on because it's good, but it's just not as good as season 1.
I guess that was the one that set the mould, wasn't it? That was the one that sparked it all, and almost made them set to a formula. Because before, you look at Bone and Sam and Max, and they had a bit more variety, or at least between the different series they kept releasing, there was more flexibility for them to stretch the gameplay. Where I think they saw Walking Dead go so well and went, right, guys, this is it. This is the template we need to stick to. And so I don't think it is quite as revolutionary, because at the very worst you're seeing, like, I know what format this is going to take. Yes,
and you can... And towards the end of New Frontier, I could see where my choices were going to take me. Yeah. So I'm like, if I do that, I know exactly where that was going. There was still a few bits. There was still a few surprises and a few bits that kind of had you kind of, oh, well, I didn't mean to do that. But I wasn't as invested in these characters as I was Clementine in season 2 and Clementine in season 1, and even some of the other games like The Wolf Among Us. I was totally invested in those characters, and so there were a few there that there were a few characters, some good characters, but there was a few that I just die, just get eaten by a zombie. I don't need you, so, but it was good. I enjoyed it. It was great. I've now got episode 2 of Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, from a couple of podcasts ago, I did say that I was enjoying that, and this was fun. It kind of reminded me back to the good times I had with Borderlands, because I really enjoy the Telltale Borderlands. And Guardians of the Galaxy kind of has that feel to it. So I'm quite looking forward to episode 2, which came out today as we pod.
Yeah.
So yes, so that's kind of my bevy of games. So it's been quite good, but like I say, I just want something new. I want something to sink my teeth into. I've got Tekken 7 is coming from Boomerang Games. Wipeout comes out tomorrow. Wipeout Amiga Collection on the PS4. But I do just want something with a bit of story, and I'm hoping maybe Lego City Uncovered does that for me.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that'll definitely at least keep you entertained.
Yes, keep me smiling. Excellent stuff. So let's jump into the news section. And then this week's news section, Nintendo details its online service, and it's so Nintendo. Life is Strange could be getting a prequel, and Gears of War 4 gets a Horde update. But first, before we get into the news, it's time for a bit of E3 predictions. Now, we're going to do this without Daz, unfortunately, but Daz will be back for the E3 breakdown. But what what James and I thought we'd do is we'll go through all of the different conferences, let you know what times they are, what dates they are, because they are now scattered over the E3 weekend. And also maybe just have a bit of fun with a couple of predictions per conference.
Yes, so there's quite a few coming up over the weekend, so prepare yourselves, because some are quite late as well, so you might want to adjust your sleeping patterns. But it all kicks off on Saturday with EA, so that's going to be 8 o'clock UK time. And EA over the last couple of years, they've had I think it's a mixed bag.
Yes.
I think it's fair to say. I think a couple of years ago they did that bits where they had Pele on stage, and that went down in infamy. And then last year, I think they kept trying to push. They pushed Battlefield, doesn't it, last year?
Yes.
And I remember the celebrity carpet that they did as the after show there, and I think it was an interesting mix where they tried to take on MTV and sort of I don't know, it's like the showbiz channels at that point.
And E online.
E, that's it.
Yes, yeah.
And I don't know if it necessarily came across too well.
Asking game devs what they're wearing. Who are you wearing?
Yes.
Marks and Spencer.
TK Maxx.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you're looking forward to EA at all? I mean, obviously they've got their sports brands, but there must be something beyond that for you.
Star Wars, and more Star Wars.
Okay, so a simple man to please then with this one.
Yeah, for me, I'm my prediction, if we're kind of jump a prediction into here, is that it will end with there you go, here's my prediction. It will start with Battlefront 2.
Okay.
Start with Battlefront 2, we'll get some gameplay, we'll get some full-on gameplay of Battlefront, we'll find out about the VR, but I think it will end with the Star Wars open world game from Amy Hennig.
Okay.
I think it will end with that.
I just hope in a rather pithy way that they continue to do their countdown to Star Wars, which was one of my favourite memes from a couple of years ago.
Right.
Just the thing that kept ticking up at the start, as if to say, don't go away. we know you're only waiting for this. We know this rest of the hour is filler, and all you care about is the end. So yeah, I think it's going to be Star Wars heavy as well. I think it makes sense to open and close the show with effectively the IPs that they've got that will transcend the rest of their catalogue.
Yes.
But I'm going to go for a punt that they might show something from Criterion.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember a few years back they were shown doing skidoo racing and all sorts of weird things, but it was that classic, we haven't got anything to show, so let's film some devs typing on a keyboard and then out in situ in somewhere, in a snowy forest for some reason. So I'm hoping that we actually get to see what that is, and it hasn't just turned into another Need for Speed game.
That's so funny. We've strapped a dev to a tea tray and we're pushing him down a hill.
Yes.
But that would be quite cool, because I remember wasn't that like an open world? That wasn't Steep, was it? There was like another open world kind of sport game, wasn't it? I think.
Steep was the Ubisoft one. Yeah, so I think EA's still got to reveal what Criterion we're up to.
And I'm hoping, not a prediction, but I'm hoping that maybe we'll see some more Plants vs. Zombies.
Oh, okay, because they've done 2 of those already, haven't they?
They have. The second one's free to play, and I really enjoyed that. And that was Nicola and I played that for so much on our iPad. But they had something, and they keep refreshing it. They keep bringing out new stuff. I haven't fired it up for ages, but maybe a Plants vs. Zombies on the Switch. Yeah,
that'd be. I think especially if they try and do something that allows the touchscreen to be used in an interesting way, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be quite cool. Yeah, that's EA. So that's 8 PM on Saturday.
Yep, and then next up is Microsoft on the Sunday. So we've only got the one on the Saturday, but starting the Sunday at 10 PM. Oh my word, that's not starting the Sunday, that's finishing the Sunday. When's the next one? Oh my word, the next one's at 5 AM. Right, Microsoft.
Yes.
At 10 PM on Sunday evening.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this. This is Microsoft always start E3 for me. It used to be like the Monday at like 5 PM, didn't it? Where they would start, and that was always like it's E3. So it's interesting that they've got the Sunday to kind of, I guess, own the news cycles for a day.
For the day, yeah. I'm quite a bit disappointed by the fact they've shifted this as well, because the last few years, it's always been quite nice. Like at work, we turn the canteen over into like an E3 viewing area, and we get pizzas out and get some drinks, and it's a nice atmosphere. So the fact they've shifted it to the Sunday is there's a personal bit of disappointment there.
Yes. So will you get to see it? Because you're actually heading off to E3, aren't you, on Friday?
I am indeed. There's a question whether we'll be able to get to see it, or whether we'll be frantically strapping dev kits together to see it for the show. But let's say it depends how well the setup goes.
Yes. And then you'll all be. I guess you'll have big screens. You could just view it there on the show floor. So Microsoft, I guess you'll probably sit this one out.
No, I'm going to go. So I know next to nothing actually of what's going on. So I'm going to take a long punt and say they're going to probably show a lot of Scorpio.
Right.
Okay.
I'm hoping they will unveil the SKU for Scorpio. So this is what it looks like.
Yes, again, I know nothing, but if they don't come out with a date and the price, I think it's going to be a very weird release for this all, especially as I guess no matter what happens, you think that Sony, you've got 24 hours to react to whatever happens, and you think if they can just get out there and put this message ahead and try and put the best face on, it's going to give them the best ground.
Yes, indeed. I think my predictions are that Square Enix are going to show off the Avengers game that they teased. Now, whether this is going to be another CGI trailer, because if you remember before, there was one with hammers and there was a broken shield and there was all of that. So whether this is a mood piece for the Avengers game, but I think the Square Enix are going to be on stage because one of my PlayStation predictions will be around Spider-Man. So I think the Square Enix Microsoft will say to Square Enix, show Avengers here at the Microsoft show.
Yeah.
So I think we'll have a very heavy Avengers, and I will just go crazy if they bring out some of the Avengers. A bit like they did the Beatles a couple of years ago. If they bring out Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Hemsworth to announce this game, that would just be absolutely fantastic. I just blew my own mind. I've set my expectations so high.
Oh my God, the fact it's streaming in 4K as well, that would...
Yes, because I've got 4K via Beam for the and I think
Mixer. Excuse me, let's get on brand here.
Oh God, I forgot. Yeah, it's changed. It was really funny because when they changed over to Mixer, when you fired up the Mixer app, it still said Beam every now and then. It's like you haven't done a proper search and replace yet, guys. It's just like Beam 4K, the Microsoft conference, and then my last one because James, I've got to do it every year. Viva Pinata HD.
So Bethesda is next on Sunday, June the 11th at 5 a.m. in the morning.
I'll be up.
Oh my word, no, that's Monday morning. Sorry, I've written this down really badly. So 5 a.m. Monday morning, we have Bethesda. So you're going to be up for this.
Yes.
Now, I'm not quite sure where they're at, because they've obviously released quite a few big games in the recent years, and those style, like the Dooms and the Skyrims, they obviously take a while to get the next one out. So I don't know if we'll actually necessarily see a huge game announcement, or whether it's more just bolstering the portfolio from what's gone before. But I wouldn't be surprised if they announce a Doom 2, given how well Doom did last year. Just merely an announcement and just that more of the same style approach. So I that's going to be my punt for Bethesda.
For me, I think, and I'm looking forward to this because I watched it last year, and I think it was like 4 a.m. last year, and it's a great way to wake up because, as you say, they are very it's very high octane. Their conferences, it's like, here's Doom, here's Quake, here's this, and you're like, oh my God, it's so early, but it's great. So I think for me, my prediction will be that they will show a sequel to Castle Wolfenstein. So you know that Castle Wolfenstein came out a couple of years ago.
Yep.
Like Doom, was very well received, and I think the standalone DLC as well that came out, that was also really well received. So I think we'll have a bit of Castle Wolfenstein. But also, the one thing that's missing from their portfolio that they've talked about before is Fallout 4 VR.
Oh yes, I completely forgotten about that, because it's been now almost 2 years since Fallout.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking Fallout 4 VR will be shown on all platforms. Can I go hype and say released today?
And it's available today.
Now.
Yes,
because they did that
gestures
last year.
to the sky. Yes.
Yeah, they did that last year with Fallout Shelter.
Vault. Yes. Shelter, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, they did that with that. So I think that Fallout 4 is their release now.
Yeah. Well, there's also Skyrim on the Switch, which I wonder... There's a possibility of that release now, but I guess it won't have the same impact.
Good call.
So yeah, they've got a few things possible, but I don't think they've got anything that's going to set the world alight, given the fact that, Fallout, Elder Scrolls, and Doom were last year. But yeah, next up on Monday at the slightly more reasonable 6 p.m. UK time is the PC Gaming Show. So this is a bit of a coming together of everything PC, pretty much. And I've been having a look at who's going to be on there. And in no particular order, they're going to have PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. So
Right.
I guess they're either going to come out and say, hey guys, we're awesome, or announce some sort of expansion to it. They've got Total War and from Creative Assembly on there, so maybe Warhammer coming out. They've got Lawbreakers from Cliffy B. They've got Microsoft coming on with their Play Anywhere, and a few other little things like BattleTech, which is effectively like the Mech Warrior series, or like the Mech Warrior series, and a couple of the tactical shooters that I haven't really got my finger on the pulse of. So it's a bit of a mix. But I still like the fact that I guess it's like a combined forces, isn't it? Like none of these, apart from Microsoft, could have a conference of their own. So they're actually coming together for the greater good of the platform.
Do you know what? The lineup that you just said there sounds really interesting. I'm very interested in PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. I'm hoping at some point that will be coming to a console, to an Xbox console, hopefully, because that would just be that controller with that game. It just sounds like that would just be really good. And a couple of podcasts that we listen to, they are non-stop talking about this. And I got a gaming laptop from work the other day. I borrowed one from work. We had a big old gaming laptop, and I just need to reinstall Windows 10 on it because we tried to get it onto our network and we fudged it a little bit, so I just need to reinstall that. But that's kind of one of the games that I'd like to play on it. I'd like to kind of have a go of PlayerUnknown Battleground, because it sounds like a ton of fun.
It sounds so fun, but me personally speaking, I can't do online shooters anymore. It's more my temperament and my sanity rather than anything else. And I get the feeling Battlegrounds would test that, because I really love the fact that it's so popular at the moment that you can just jump back in. Like even if you've got destroyed very quickly and you don't have to wait for the 5-10 minutes cooldown time, you can just jump back in, and there's so many thousands of people playing, you can get something up and running quickly. But then it's got that survival game irritation that, as much as I like games like Don't Starve and Ark, if I've lived in that game for hours and then die and have to start over from scratch, it infuriates me. So I could just see that if I have a good run on Battlegrounds, I just wouldn't want to go back in, because that's it. Yes. I've been crossbowed in the butt and can't carry on.
But yeah, so I think I might jump into that one, because again, as I was saying before, I do enjoy that whole kind of run up to E3. So it might be just good, just kind of jump in. That's 6 p.m. on Monday, so that might be quite good. And then we've obviously a couple of hours until the next one.
Ubisoft is then taking the 9 p.m. UK time, and not quite sure what they'll have to show, to be honest. I mean, new to show, because they've got Far Cry 5 that they've already announced. They've got the Assassin's Creed that they've effectively had their hands forced to reveal. And so I don't know where the surprises are going to come from, because they've already said that Beyond Good and Evil 2 isn't going to be there. I guess the Mario game that they're doing will be in the Nintendo conference. So unless there's another just left field one like Steep, I really couldn't say what they're going to do.
Yes. Well, we haven't seen Assassin's Creed. We've only seen a screenshot.
Oh, that is true.
So maybe we'll get the first kind of it will open with Assassin's Creed Origins. My prediction is that we will get a CGI trailer for The Division 2.
Yes.
And if I want to go crazy, set in London.
That'd be good. Yeah, because I don't know really whether they could take it to New York, but actually moving it to another city where they have things like the underground and historical underground city, that could be good. Or I guess the Tom Clancy one is a great place to try and exploit. Actually, sorry, roll back. Didn't they say they were taking the Division guys off of something to potentially work on another game? I'm sure we covered this maybe last time I was on or the time before.
Right.
I'm now going to do a frantic Google because I'm sure they were pulling them off for something like a Blade Runner game or something like that.
Right, yes. While you Google, I mean, for me, I think the biggest disappointment for Ubisoft already is that they have not got Aisha Tyler this year. So,
haven't they?
No, I think they've got a whole bunch of devs that are coming out and kind of doing the presenting. But say the Ubisoft have said that they're at the E3 Monday 9 PM British Standard Time, all of that, and at no point have they mentioned Aisha Tyler. And for me, over the last 3 years, I think she has won that show. She has the reason why the show is so good and so bonkers is because of her. She's just done such a great job. And I think in our first E3 special that we had a couple of years ago, I was just waxing lyrical about how amazing she is and just how much I really enjoyed her kind of humour. And but yeah, though it doesn't look like she's going to be there this year because it's just the way that she interacts with everybody and the little kind of quippy comments, and you can tell she gets excited about stuff as well. It really does. She's a really she gets very hyped, very excited, and I just really like the fact that they have someone that awesome presenting. And but no, we're not going to see her this year.
Oh, that's a shame because I think it wasn't only just her ability to handle everyone on stage, but it was the fact that she always had that credibility beyond E3 as well. It's not like Reggie coming out to host the Nintendo conference. She's actually got some presenting chops on proper telly.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So did you find out what that game was?
No. The Division is a rather standard search term, it turns out. So we'll knock this on the head and maybe put it as a footnote later.
Yes.
So I'm just going to go. Let's do it. They're going to do a Blade Runner game. That's my outside prediction. There we go. So next up after Ubisoft is another late one. So at 2:00 in the morning on Tuesday. Are you stopping up for this one?
I am indeed.
Okay. It's the Sony press conference.
So yeah, because you've got Ubisoft at 9, so they will be an hour and a half. So that's 10:30, and then there'll probably be some after show stuff. So it's not that long. I can watch a movie in between, or maybe even have a bit of a nap. Have a little nap, and for a couple of hours, set my alarm for 2 AM, and then wake up and watch the Sony conference.
It sounds like a good split. I think I always tried to nap as well on that one, but it never really panned out. But there's something nice. There's something nice about just pushing through to the wee small hours to see a press conference.
There really is.
So in terms of predictions, though, I think they might carry on the remake trend or the reboot trend that they have been doing for the last few years. Right. And I think it's going to be either Jak and Daxter or Vib Ribbon.
Right.
I think Vib Ribbon might be like a cheaper, quirkier thing that might get the indie, the smaller scenes. They might get that portion more excited. But Jak and Daxter have been reinvented a couple of times because they went from the basic platforming duo to almost like a Mad Max Grand Theft Auto style game for their sequel. So I wonder if they can bring them back in a style more contemporary to today.
Yes, because Jak and Daxter, they're remaking the first one, not in like a Ratchet and Clank remake.
Are they? I honestly didn't know that.
Yeah, it's just a remaster. If you pre-order the DLC for Uncharted, you get the Jak and Daxter remaster for free.
That's what? I guess studios are studios, but that's an interesting cross promotion.
But it's not like I say, like the Ratchet and Clank that came out last year, which was eye-poppingly gorgeous. It's not like that. It is just a file save as 1080p. But it still looks.
It's how it works. Good. You've been to Sony after all, so yes.
yeah. So that's really good shout. I mean, Vib Ribbon, that's a good shout. That would. I mean, imagine what that would look like, kind of in the consoles. The consoles today, it would be very cool.
I mean, I love anything that looks like it could be vector graphics. So even if they could just like retro it, if they could bring it up to date, but then retro those the visuals back to those searing colours that you can get on vectors, that would be beautiful.
That would be fantastic.
I also have to say, I think that this will be the point where I actually decide to sell my PlayStation VR. I get the feeling that I will not be impressed by anything that Sony has to offer, because let's face it, in the last 6 months, apart from Resident Evil, the only thing they've tried to offer us is a shooter that you have to buy some spare plumbing to play. And if that's the best they can do for their first 6 months to 9 months, I just don't think they're going to have anything that makes me want to stick around with the platform.
Yeah. They really have to sell it hard. I mean, the one thing that I wanted was that the conference would be in VR. I don't know if I want that at 2 a.m. in the morning, but I wanted to be in VR that I could watch later in VR, and that doesn't sound like that's happening. They would have made a big furore about that if that was going to happen. So it doesn't look like we're going to get that. But you're right. They have to. I kind of left that off my predictions because they have to go big. They have to go big. Or not at all, because you're right. I didn't get the shooter game. I didn't get that game, and then the other one is the Star Trek Bridge Crew. But that's a game that needs to be played with 3 other people.
Yep.
You need to play that with other people. And that's not something you could just get on your own and have fun. You need to have 4 people that are just like, let's play it tonight and jump in. I'm seeing on Twitter that a lot of people are having a lot of fun with it, but you need to have 3 other people that are equally as invested or drunk and enjoying it. So you're right. They have to have, it has to go beyond a montage. They have to spend some time, either before the show or at the show, convincing me why I need to keep holding on to that mess of wires that I have in my AV cabinet.
And notoriously for me, I think Sony have always had quite flabby conferences. I think they've always inserted things like their Heroes TV show and brought the pace right down for like 20 minutes. And so if they could just dedicate that to VR, because I think they're going to spend a lot of the time trying to push the Pro to combat the Scorpio. So they've got time. They've got at least an hour and a half. They've occasionally gone for 2 hours, these guys, and they have the time and they have the potential. So just please put something out there to make sure I haven't wasted this money I've invested.
Because if you think about it, E3 is a show where you are trying to convince parties, third parties, etc., to jump onto your brand and to jump onto that. So they are, as well as it is a consumer service, it really is trying to convince people that, hey, come over here. You really need to develop for PlayStation VR. I'd like to see things like Super Hot. I'd like to see things like that. That really cool one by Epic Games where you're kind of walking through. But both of those are shooters. But I want to see more than that. But those two would be like, yeah, that's great. You've got that. You are actually paying attention to what's happening outside. But back to what you're saying about the Pro, and I think they are pushing the Pro. They're going to be pushing the Pro quite heavy. And one of my predictions is that the PS Pro becomes the default SKU and gets a either slim model or a price drop.
Ooh. That would be. I guess that would be the best counter they could do to the Scorpio, is pushing it even further into the forefront of their portfolio.
Yes, so every PlayStation is a 4K enabled, not Blu-ray, but 4K enabled HDR. Well, every PlayStation's a HDR anyway, but
unless you've got your PlayStation VR plugged in.
Yes, exactly. And that's the one thing that, because my PlayStation VR is in its nice little case, and I look at those wires and they kill me. I just like, even though I've got a Switch, I'm just like, it's so messy. I just want to get it all out of there. And like, and I look at it and think, I haven't played you for 6 months, or 3 months. I could just take it out. But yeah, so I think the PlayStation 4 Pro will become the default SKU. Spider-Man will open the show.
I'd forgotten about Spider-Man.
Spider-Man 4 will get a proper name. and it will open the show, and they will also get a release date.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be a good film tie-in as well, considering, as you say, that's out later this month.
Homeland, Spider-Man Homecoming is July, so it won't hit that, but maybe it will hit for when Spider-Man Homecoming comes to Blu-ray.
I to be honest, I don't. If they can't hit the cinema, I just think they just need to release it at their own speed then, because it doesn't seem like it's a Christmas game. So I guess if it misses this summer, then you're probably talking maybe Easter next year.
February 2018. Ooh, there's already some games that are coming out then, isn't there? It's really interesting. That start of the year is a really interesting start, isn't it?
It's a new summer now, isn't it, at that point?
It really is. It's like people get out the way of holiday now, because I think holiday are for Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty, Destiny, all of those kind of big franchises. So people kind of get out of the way for their first party titles, and then they come do it in the new year when people have money. They have some Christmas money, they have some holiday money, and they have Christmas money and they want to spend it, so there's that game that's, and Spider-Man 4 is looking great. It looked great at the PlayStation 4 Pro announcement, so I'm hoping we get gameplay, Tom Holland, Spider-Man out on stage. There you go, breaking the Avengers over Xbox and PlayStation. Because Tom Holland and Robert Downey Jr. have been doing the rounds recently. Obviously, the hype has started for that movie, so maybe both of those come out on the Sony conference and show off a little bit of Spider-Man.
That would be a good coup.
Bigger prediction: Iron Man is a DLC character.
It's just turning to the Squeenix game now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Robert. Yeah, Thor is also another. But no, that is my kind of opening. I mean, I think we'll probably see. We'll see maybe a little bit of the Uncharted DLC. Because Daz isn't here, let's say they'll announce and release that day, he says, tongue-in-cheek and chuckling, Part 1 of Final Fantasy VII.
And then at the end of the week, they'll do Shenmue 3. Yes. It'd be an amazing week.
Shenmue 3 not coming out for years. We get the Shenmue HD collection. And they say that. That's what they say. Look, Shenmue isn't coming out for another 3 years. Sorry, here's the HD collection.
But if you want to help us, here's another Kickstarter.
Yes, yeah. All those people that kickstarted, we're now asking for more money. So Sony, I'm predicting it should be good fun. It should be like constant kind of bam, bam, bam. I'm very interested in it, but there's some things that they have to do. There's some promises that they need to square off on, I think. Yes,
yeah. And to round out the conference list is Nintendo, coming in on Tuesday at 5 PM UK time. So I think this one's going to be very heavy with Splatoon and ARMS.
Right.
They're the next two big ones that are coming out, and I think especially you've seen like the press coverage of how much ARMS has been around. Mm-hmm. I think might reveal maybe the last couple of characters, or how the service plan is going to develop. Because I'm hoping it is going to be like Splatoon, that it starts out maybe with a compact set of features, but then just grows as you get used to them. I mean, it doesn't look like it's got the versatility of Splatoon. But I think it needs something beyond what is in the box, from what I hear. Like the early preview events seem to say that it's been quite slim.
Right.
So I think there needs to be some reassurance in this conference that it's not just a wham bam, so like just been and gone. And then Splatoon, I want them to show more of their salmon run. That seems to be the feature that's going to sell me most on this. I mean, now my brother's got a Switch full of Splatoon. I will be getting Splatoon so I can play along with him. So hopefully that solo or at least co-op mode has some meat to it.
Yes. That sounds, no, I think you're right there. I think they are going to be coming. They're the two titles that are coming out very soon, because we're not long away from ARMS and which comes out first? Is it ARMS?
I think ARMS are. I think ARMS is out this month, and I think Splatoon's out next month.
That's right. So I think they're going to be very heavy on that. My predictions are we're going to get some Mario Kart DLC.
Oh, interesting. A DLC on the DLC that's in there. I like that.
Yes. So they realise that everybody's playing it, that everyone's loving it. There'll be more tracks, more kind of retro tracks, more restyled of those tracks.
a selection of crowns for you to wear?
Yes, indeed. Multiple crowns, so I can actually stack them on top of each other for everything I win. The safe one, the one that I really want, Animal Crossing on the Switch in 2018.
Yes. Yeah, because I guess look at what they've front-loaded. You've had your Mario, you've had your Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what's left, we've just had a Star Fox, so Animal Crossing and Smash Brothers are probably the two that are going to come down the pipe.
Yes.
Yes, I would definitely take an Animal Crossing. Because the
Maybe
last
a
one was
Smash Brothers
4 years
Deluxe.
ago?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, there must have been about 4 years. It must have been about 4 years ago that the Animal Crossing for the 3DS, wasn't it?
Although they have got the Animal Crossing for the phone coming out in theory in the next financial year, so it'll be interesting to see how those two marry with each other.
Maybe there's a little bit of connectivity between the two.
Ooh.
See, Injustice 2 has a bit of that. You go into the menu and you can register that you've got the app, and then you can play between them. You can do things between the two games.
Okay, then you can just basically farm coins off that effectively.
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, I wouldn't put it beyond them, but I'd be impressed if they could get that level of connectivity and synergy going in their mobile brand.
Yes. So Animal Crossing 2018, I think you're right. Yeah. Super Smash Brothers Deluxe, similar to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So whatever the last Smash Brothers, they just put a deluxe on the end of it.
Which would be, I think if they do that, I honestly think if they do that with Smash, they might start losing some goodwill. Because I think Mario Kart is one thing, but to start doing, hey, here's something else that you guys didn't buy. Here is Yoshi's Woolly World Deluxe. Here is 3D Land Deluxe. I think that's going to take the mick somewhat. But Nintendo have been reselling us stuff for years, so I wouldn't put it past them either.
Yes, I mean, well, we were... in our news section a bit later, we just had the Pokemon Direct, and one of the items that's in there is Pokemon Tournament DX coming to the Switch. This is basically the Wii U version that's just coming to the Switch. So which I think, because Darren's talked about this before and he's been very excited about it and played this game and really enjoyed this game, and now it's coming on a handheld, which you can now play. I mean, I just thought that was quite cool. But I think there's going to be a section where they do say, like you say, Yoshi's Woolly World DX or Deluxe is coming out. I think we're going to have a few Wii U games that people didn't buy. Captain Toad's Adventures will be. Maybe they'll have a whole section where they're coming out on the eShop. They won't do them physical on the eShop, and they'll be available. Yeah, I bet.
I think I've always been like this with remakes, that I would prefer a studio to do something new.
Yes.
Rather than remake stuff. And obviously that isn't the way the world works, and someone has to pay the bills, Gum. But I just hope there are some teams within Nintendo doing new stuff. Because obviously there is Mario. I think we've the elephant in the room on this one was Mario. There was always going to be Mario Odyssey. They've said as such, so it's not going to be a surprise. But I want them to have something around the corner that's novel. I wouldn't mind like a new Super Mario Brothers. Like they've had the 3D. Why not try the 2D like for next year or something like that? But I guess announcing this while Mario Odyssey isn't out might be a bit weird. Or maybe something like Nintendogs.
Yes.
Could they start bringing that franchise back? Because again, you've got the touchscreen, you've got a Switch that you can take on the go. Is there something they can do with that? Nintendo buns. Well, we'll have a rabbit variation just
just for you.
Just for us. They'd sell 2 copies.
That'll be fantastic. But that's the level that I would like from them. I'd like not just to focus on those 2 games. I'd like to give us a good hour Treehouse or Direct or whatever they're going to call it, and then just have a little bit about the Nindies. Focus on the indies. Give me an update on Rogue Trooper, please. I need to know when that's coming out. And then just some of those big tentpoles, like here's Animal Crossing again. Here's a CGI trailer for Animal Crossing. It's coming 2018. Not giving you a date, but let's get excited about it and give similar to PlayStation VR. Not that I need a reason, because I've played 125 hours of Zelda, and my Switch has earned its money 10 times over, but give me reasons to just love that machine even more, which are things like Animal Crossing, and I can't wait to play Mario Odyssey as well. So while you're out there, will you be trying to get some hands-on with Mario Odyssey?
I will try, but the chances of me having a break long enough are
an 8-hour queue.
An 8-hour queue, yeah.
You're like, sorry, I lost track of time.
Why are you wearing that red hat?
Yes. Yeah, on the side note, Mario Odyssey's amazing.
I'll be happy if I can just look at it. But yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Glance at it as you walk past the thing. And then for me, the last prediction that I have for Nintendo, Rocket League. Rocket League comes to the Switch.
Whew. I wonder if it's powerful enough.
Really?
I guess they've got Thumper going at 60 frames.
Yes.
But Rocket League more than anything I've played in recent times, because I tried to play Rocket League on one of my old laptops.
Right.
And I had to shrink that resolution down so much to get a good, consistent frame rate.
Wow.
So it's probably just me being slightly snobby, but that would be a test if they could do that, because I think they can do large worlds. We've seen they do large worlds, but that's not at frame. That's not at a lick that I think can bear something like Rocket League. But I think if that happens, that would be good. That would be good. Oh my word, you took me thinking of F-Zero now as well. F-Zero, I want F-Zero.
Oh, yes. There's nothing as good as the Mario Kart F-Zero tracks.
They're great.
They're just
Although
so
I did regret, because at the weekend, listeners, we yo-yoed between all the different CCs just for variety. And I did put 50cc on at one point, and we did F-Zero, and it felt the least F-Zero thing that we've ever done.
It was like an old man's version of F-Zero.
Yeah, Captain Falcon just shaking his fist out the window at us Sunday drivers. But yeah.
That was so cool. So so there you go. That's E3.
That's it. We can look back in a week's time to see how wildly inaccurate or spot on the money our choices were.
Exactly. If we don't get them right, we just won't say anything. But
it'll be a very short section next week.
We'll just be celebrating the ones that we did get right. But yeah, that's the whole point about E3. That's why I love it so much, is that it is just that wild speculate to start off with. Enjoy the shows while they're happening, and then there's so much gaming news the days after. It just keeps trickling out, new games, new updates, finding more information. It just really is Christmas time for gamers, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, and I think it's like Christmas. It's almost sometimes better before you find out what's there. It's that anticipation.
Yes.
Because at the moment, anything could happen.
Yes, indeed.
And then when you find out it is just Pokken coming out, you go, oh, damn it.
Yeah, exactly. When Nintendo just give us arms and I mean, one thing we didn't say actually about Nintendo, it could be maybe they could show off the Mario DLC that's coming out later in the winter.
For
Breath of the Wild, we've got a whole new bit of DLC.
Zelda.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe, or maybe that sounds like a direct, doesn't it? Its own direct.
It depends if they've started releasing stuff this week. If they've got an hour to fill, you'd hope they'd at least have a bit of a montage, maybe, of what to expect.
Yes, indeed. Right, so tune in next week we'll break down each one of those conferences, and see where if we were, and I'll skew what I said just so I make it right. So James, do we have some news?
Yes. Beyond all our whiffling on what's going to happen next week, we have some actual cold hard facts, if not the ability to tell them. So the first one is related to Nintendo. Again, we've just started speaking about them, so let's go back. And we've discussed before how Nintendo's online solution for the Switch isn't really to everyone's taste, because there isn't a microphone or really a speaker built in or attachable to the Switch itself. And so they've already said that you're going to have to use your phone as a communication device. And well, I don't know about you. I'd probably be prefer to carry on using our Xbox Live party system at this point in time. I'm always a bit precious over my phone battery if I don't have to use it.
Yes.
And the thought of just running it down, constantly trying to message you guys to get into a party, it's actually far less hassle to have a second controller next to me and my nice headset on. So they have actually released a third-party headset, an officially licensed third-party headset for Splatoon, to show you how this setup might go. And to say it is hackneyed might be an understatement, because they've had to release a diagram to how you do it. So you have your headset. The headset then goes into a rather nifty, actually, looking squid-like splitter.
Yes.
So it looks like one of the Splatoon squid. And then that splits. One wire goes to your phone, and one wire goes to your Switch. That sounds simple enough, you might say, because that on its own wouldn't be too bad. You could be sitting on your sofa, playing with the Switch, having the headsets on, and hearing both the in-game music and your friends shout at you. But the wire for the dongle to the Switch is supposedly only about 20 inches long, which is, how long is that in metric? That's only about 45, 50 centimetres long.
Yes.
And that is insanely short. So if you are playing with the Switch in the dock, you've pretty much got to have your head right next to the dock itself, or put your phone next to the dock itself. This sounds like the only solution for when you're actually playing it, holding it in your hand. This is not a solution for you docking and playing on the big telly.
No.
And I think this just goes to prove what everyone thought. Like, actually seeing how they've had to wire this out, it's bad.
The fact that we need a diagram to prepare us is bad. But for me, it's like, if you're going to use that app to set up the game, you're going to be setting up the game, you're going to be chatting to everyone, say, right, okay, is everyone ready? But your phone's going to have to be, like, if I'm sitting in my movie room, the phone is going to be over in my AV cabinet behind another TV, and it's just going to be so far away that I won't be able to see any messages or trash talk that's coming in anyway. So, but the one thing I do miss when we're playing, I mean, the banter's so funny that it doesn't really matter, but the one thing I do miss is the sound of Mario Kart when we're playing, because I'd like to have that kind of turned down. Normally when we're playing, I have the speech turned up, the game kind of at mid, and then you get to kind of enjoy both of those things.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm missing. I've often thought about actually plugging, because I've got two Switch docks, because we bought two Switches and we have one dock into the big TV, but I thought about putting the spare Switch dock into the back of my Xbox One, and then I would use it as if in the HDMI in port, and then I would use it as if it's a TV and see if that works and I don't get any lag or anything like that.
I think the fact we have to try and come up with these interesting solutions around it. I mean, thankfully the headphones I use at home are open, so they're cans that go over the ear, but they're open so I can hear the outside world. So for me it's not too bad, so I can have them on, talk to you guys and hear the telly around. But then my headphones at work, they're closed, so I wouldn't have the same quality of life.
Yes.
I think, as I tweeted out earlier, it irritates me slightly that things like the Pro Controller is so expensive, with so many useless pieces of machinery in there, and yet they didn't include a speaker port, like a headphone jack. It's just nuts. I would quite happily give up HD Rumble, Bluetooth, the Amiibo near-field communication. There's so many things in there that don't need to necessarily be in the Pro controller.
Yes. And in fact that this is a Nintendo kind of branded headphones, then why aren't they Bluetooth? Because if you think about it, you could have I have a pair of, I know they're kind of like high-end, kind of in quotes speakers, but headphones. I have a pair of Bose Quiet Comfort wireless headphones, Bluetooth headphones, and I have an app on my phone where I can share the sound out to other people with Bose headphones. So if you and I were sitting on the train, I could just share out my phone, and I can look for other headphones and just share out the phone. So why can't I do something like that? Why can't my phone is Bluetooth and I could have that plugged into the wall or do whatever, and then the Switch is Bluetooth and I can say, right, they're the two things I'm connecting to. I'm connecting to that iPhone, that Switch, and then I'm getting a mixture. And then I have control over the sound, and that would just be, that's actually someone putting a bit of thought into it. And if the one thing that annoys me is I'm loving my Switch so much, and it's welcome back Nintendo. It really is welcome back Nintendo. Yeah. But you see things like this, and you're just like, as I said at the top of the show, this is so Nintendo. This is just them not think. This is them thinking a group of people sitting around on the floor playing Splatoon.
Yep.
This isn't thinking about 4 awesome dudes on a Sunday night playing Mario Kart on their big TVs. It's not thinking that. It's just thinking that we're all just in a room sitting around, or we're just sitting with our Switches in handheld mode.
Yeah, it's a shame because it's almost like the HDR Switch on the PlayStation as well.
Yes, yes.
There's just a disconnect between how it works in an office or on a whiteboard and the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let's not harp on too long because we all knew it would be a car crash, and now we've seen it. So.
But like you say, we use Xbox One. You could use PlayStation 4. I just use that. I switch over. So at the moment, when I have the move room to myself on the small TV, I have my Xbox playing, and on the big TV, I have the Switch playing, which is really cool because then I can see. But if I just had one TV, then I could just change the AV input. And off I go. So you just need to remember to move your controller every now and then, your Xbox controller, to keep it awake. But that works really well for us. That really does kind of work well. And we get to kind of just have that communication. Because especially if, like you say, if you're playing Splatoon, you're going to need to talk. If it's a frantic game where you got that single player co-op game, you're going to need to kind of shout at Matt a lot. Like I say, I don't want it to frustrate because I love that Switch. I love my Switch so much.
That's it. I think we're just going to keep it nice and easy.
Yes. And then continuing on that Switch, we're in Daz's Switch corner, is that the online service. So Nintendo gave us a bit of an update about the online service. So it's coming now in 2018. It was supposed to be coming towards the end of this year, but they've moved it back now to 2018. But they did actually give us some information. So they said you can get a 1-month subscription for $4, and this is all in US dollars. You can get 1 month subscription for $4. And you can get a 3-month subscription for $8. And there was an update recently to the Switch that holds your credit card, debit card details now. So it will hold that. So it will do a rolling 3-month or rolling month subscription. So which is good. That's as good as we're going to get. And I think if we look at the current exchange rate, that's about £3, £3 UK for a month. So that's not too bad. It's a lot cheaper. And actually Polygon put an article about a comparison for each of the systems. So it was like Switch Online versus PlayStation Plus versus Xbox Live Gold, and I'll stick a link in the show notes to those because you're looking at per month. Switch is $3.99. Again, this is all in dollars. PlayStation Plus is $9.99, and so is Xbox Live Gold, are both $9.99. And then it just kind of breaks down what you get. You get discounts on all of them. It's required for online play, and obviously there's a whole bunch of free games because we know for Xbox Live we get our games of gold. PlayStation Plus, you get a whole bunch of games, which if you're a PlayStation Plus subscriber today, the 6th of June, you got Life is Strange is free on the PlayStation 4, and I urge you to play that game because it's amazing. And then with the Switch, we are going to get a whole bunch of virtual console games that are ours to play as long as they are in rotation. So similar to the Xbox One Games Pass, similar to Netflix, and also that your subscription is active. You will get a whole bunch of probably games that will be right up your alley, James. There's lots of Dr. Mario and Mario World, etc.
Yeah, it's because at the moment I've got my NES Classic sat in front of the telly with Dr. Mario in it, and then we were playing a ROM of the Nintendo World Championship from 1990, and that's got Dr. Mario in it as well. So that is definitely up our alley because Ali loves Dr. Mario. That is her Tetris.
Right.
So that will go down well. But I think they've done reasonably smartly by this proposition because I think if they came in at the full whack as with Microsoft and Sony, like a more comparable price point, I think there'll be a lot of skepticism about it because Nintendo haven't had the best track record when it comes to online communications, as we've already said with the communication and things like the friends codes already. So I think this is a nice sweetener to try and get people on board, get people to pay for the service, and hopefully that investment will mean they can build it, or at least get confidence to build it. But the proof will be in the pudding, because I guess it's not just the likes of Splatoon, ARMS and Mario Kart, which I hope they backdate the details from Mario Kart to get chatting and the like. But they need to encourage the likes of, I guess, EA and Ubisoft to put more online features on the Switch. Because if that's where a lot of the business is, if that's where a lot of the, the burner cards, the novelty items that you buy from the loot chests, just the free-to-play type mechanics where you can get more for your money, like the FIFA Ultimate Team, that is going to be required to be on the Switch to make it really a viable platform for these companies. Because you already see going to E3 that the FIFA that the Switch is going to be isn't the same FIFA that everyone else is getting. Primarily because of the technical restrictions.
Right.
But I'm guessing also because it doesn't have the same infrastructure behind it as Xbox and PlayStation have. So I think they need to reveal something next week about the ins and outs of the actual system, not individual games, the system, to give us and those third parties more confidence.
Yes, absolutely. You're absolutely spot on. So that's coming. They're now saying that they're just pushing it out for a little bit longer. So they're saying you still get all of these things for free now, and it's free until the service launches, and the service will now be launching at some point in 2018. So again, they're not really kind of giving us dates, but they're just saying that it's coming in 2018. It will be interesting to see what games that they give in the library that are present in the first wave of the library. I do like the idea of being able to grab a classic and then playing that on the go, because as we were saying, it's just so easy just to boot up your Switch, just turn it on, and then instantly you're then into Super Mario Bros. 3 and you're just playing that. And that just, it's not what I bought the Switch for, but it's great fun. Dr. Mario is good fun, so you could just play that on your Switch wherever you are, in bed, wherever. And I just like the idea of that, and that just kind of, it's quite, so I'm looking forward to seeing what titles are hitting the library.
Fingers crossed Solar Jetman, but we'll have to talk about the bosses about that. Anyway, but there's more Nintendo news that we've already hinted at, because they had a very short Pokemon Direct earlier, didn't they?
They did indeed. So we had a Pokemon Direct, and it was incredibly short. It was 8 minutes, in fact. So it
very
was
direct.
It was all over in 8 minutes. I was preparing for a meeting, and I think it was at 3 o'clock. I think it was at 3 o'clock UK time. I was preparing for a meeting, looked over to my iPad because I got a notification that Nintendo had gone live on Twitch. So I went over to my iPad at about 12 minutes past 3, and it was already over, and it was gone. It was done. It was like, thank you very much for listening. I was like, what happened? But so it was very much, it was a Pokemon Direct, and we had, as we've already said, we had a Pokken Tournament DX is coming to the Switch. So they announced that Pokken Tournament Switch is coming to the DX, and I'll put a link to the announcement trailer, or maybe even the whole press conference, because it's only 8 minutes. And then so that was the big news. So that's kind of taking that Wii U game, which I said previously, Darren he really enjoyed it. I think him and his Sam really enjoyed playing Pokken Tournament. So Pokken Tournament's coming to the Switch, and they also announced that Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon is coming to the 3DS on November the 17th. So there's a 3DS game, Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon is coming on November the 17th, and then also available only via the eShop will be Pokemon Gold and Silver. So they have Pokemon Gold and Silver will also be coming, I think, just for the 3DS, but I could be wrong. Like I say, it was all over so quickly.
It's intriguing why they haven't held this, because it's a matter of hours almost by the time we get to this point, by the time you listen, that E3 is happening. So I'm wondering, I don't want to build hype because it will never live up to it, but the fact they're announcing that this week as opposed to next makes me wonder what the message, what the story is going to be behind their treehouse. What news beats have they got for us next week? So the fact they want to try and get these out ahead of us. I hope. Well, do you know what baffles me slightly though is that they're still continuing to put out Pokemon games on the 3DS so blatantly.
Yes.
at this point in time, because I thought maybe Sun and Moon might be the last hurrah, the farewell, especially as they've got some new 2DSs coming out this summer, and they had some 3 big games announced to go side by side with it, to almost be like the last vanguard, I thought. So the fact they're announcing new ones and not for the Switch just makes me wonder, are they actually going to do this? Are they actually going to have these 2 platforms competing going forward? Because I thought the whole thing was they were supposed to be combining resources.
Indeed, it almost feels like they're kind of just keeping one finger on the 3DS just in case the Switch goes in the pooper. But it's not, it's selling like bucket loads, and people in Japan, people are queuing for hours to get a Switch when they know that someone's. So maybe that they were like, let's just have some fresh games on the 3DS. Like I say, the Gold and Silver are only coming to the 3DS as well, so they're not coming to the Switch. So maybe these are just the last games that are coming to the 3DS. Maybe another Layton game or something like that. But they'll just have these games come to 3DS just because there are so many 3DSs out there, and maybe they were just wrapping up in development. So that and maybe you're right that means that the message that they're going to give to us on the Tuesday at 5 p.m. Is going to be all Nintendo Switch, but being the very Japanese company that they are, they want to make sure that everybody's happy, and they want to make sure that all those 3DS owners don't feel like they've been left behind. Yeah,
that's fair enough. I like the idea of them just keeping one finger on it. Just yes. we haven't it pushed away just yet. We're still thinking of you, but yeah.
Yes, I mean, if in that direct they say if they spend more than another 5 minutes on 3DS, I'll be like, what the hell, Nintendo? But right now, I'm just thinking maybe they were just wrapping these up, and maybe they were just kind of like, because as you say, to bring out Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon so soon after Sun and Moon as well, and that. It's a very interesting move, but I'm hoping that the Treehouse will just be Switch, and
what is so ultra about them?
I don't know. They didn't really say. There was a trailer. I haven't played a Pokemon game for ages. I was like, that looks really good. I'm like, it's so scrub forward. What's next? So I must admit, Pokken Tournament DX, that looks quite good. I would happily play that. But the ultraness, I do not know.
Fair dues.
But that's it. That's where I am with that. Those kind of. If it was Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon on Switch, I'd have probably read everything. But because it was 3DS, I don't even know where my 3DS is. I'm just like so.
I've got that debate for next week, actually. Shall I take my 3DS or shall I take my Switch? And obviously, it's going to be the Switch now. But for the first time in a long time, I do feel a little sad that I'm going to leave my Animal Crossing covered 3DS in the drawer whilst I go away.
Surely you got some street passes that you need to get while you're at E3. No one else will be bringing them, though, will they? It will be barren.
Barren, yeah.
But yeah, no, you just need a good game. Mario Kart in your downtime, and that's what I was saying about earlier, which was it was really great. I was coming back from Manchester with a colleague of mine, and we were coming back and we were having a chat, and we were just talking about the meetings that we'd just been in, and then we got a couple of beers on the train, and I was like, do you fancy some Mario Kart? And it was like, yeah. And I just got the Switch out, and we just sat and played. I think we had about 3 or 4 Grand Prix, and it makes time fly by, and it was just so much fun. And I just was like, I think he was looking at it going, I need to get one of these. It's like everyone and people walking past and looking at us and probably just kind of wanting in as well. But it was good fun. It was really good just to kind of be able to quickly get the Switch out, pop that stand out, and then just kind of just play a couple of games of Mario Kart.
Nice. Grand. And so the next piece of news is with me, and it's back to the Life is Strange bandwagon. So we've spoken before about our love for Life is Strange and how there is another game coming in that series, but it turns out the sequel is actually a prequel. So some images have leaked in the last week showing Chloe, one of the main 2 girls from the first Life is Strange, in a previous guise. Before she had blue hair and before she went a bit more rocky, she shows her with blonde hair, a bit more normal t-shirts. And this leaked because of a studio other than Don't Nod, who are the guys who did the original. It actually leaked from somewhere called, Deck 9, an American studio. So this confused a few people out on Tinternet because the gallery was actually put up and it was taken down very quickly. But Deck 9 have announced previously that they are going in a new direction for the studio, where they're going to focus on narrative-driven games, which obviously fits in very well with Life is Strange. But it does seem to suggest that Don't Nod are either now leasing out Life is Strange to Deck 9, or maybe working collaboration for a larger story, whilst Don't Nod carry on with another projects in the background, because they've done previous games, and I think they said they were spinning up on another new secret project as well. So there's no word from publisher Square Enix just yet, but it seems like an interesting take in direction. And I forget the leaks to one side, the fact that they're going to try and focus on Chloe before she got to where we saw her last time, and maybe more to see Rachel and her interaction with her. So Rachel was a girl that we never really met in the previous game. I won't say too many spoilers, but is a figure from Chloe's past, and they seem to be focusing more from the screenshots on that relationship.
That's really. I mean, this, as I think we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, this is the only way that we could jump back into Chloe's story, isn't it? You know,
yeah.
It's the only way we could do it, because we can't have a sequel because of the way that it branched off in the end. So this prequel is the best way to do it, and anything else would have to be completely different. But this is. It's going to be so good. And in the screenshots, have they showed Max? Is Max kind of going to be?
They
in that
haven't
as well?
seen Max, but I'm not quite sure how Max could fit into it, given where it sits in Chloe's timeline. Because Max and Chloe went to school when they were kids, and then they went apart, and then Max came back for college.
Yes.
So, and this seems like very much like the teenage years, so Max, I'm guessing, would be elsewhere. But I think I actually prefer the idea that this is just like a Chloe and Rachel story. Because if you try and bring too many characters back, then it might affect the relationship of how you think or how you nudge the story to develop later on. So the fact that it's just a standalone with one anchor point, rather than an expectation of the relationship continuing however you left it.
Yes.
I think it's great. I think this is the best way they could have ran back into this franchise.
This is just going to be incredible. Now, when they announced it, when they kind of said that they were making something, did they say that I think Darren read out the statement that they're not going to be showing anything at E3. Now, whether it is that Don't Nod is not going to be showing anything at E3, and maybe we will get a bit of Life is Strange from somebody. Possibly.
I get the feeling this was a genuine. Well, who knows nowadays with the way that leaks aren't necessarily leaks. But I get the feeling it's so close that this game has got such good feeling that it would have actually made a ripple.
Yes.
Next week, it wouldn't have necessarily got the headlines, but it would have had this underlying current that a lot of the hardcore fans would definitely not miss out on.
Yes. Oh, this just could be so good. I never thought we would be going back. I never thought we would be going back to kind of Chloe's story. I always thought that was it. That was that one amazing game, and that was it, and it was fantastic. And I never thought we'd go back to it. So kind of having this just really does just kind of fill me with joy.
Yes. Let's try and temper expectations. I mean.
Yes.
Oh, let's play it down. I'm really excited.
No, I'm going to be really excited. But like I say, it's now available on PlayStation Plus for the month of June. Life is Strange is on PlayStation Plus. It's free. It's the season pass that's free. So you get
yes.
So you get episodes 1 to 6. I want to say 1 to 5, 1 to 6. I think it was 6, wasn't it? It wasn't a Telltale 5. I think it was 6 episodes. So you get that free. And it's really funny because I am urging Nicola to play it, to just pick up the Xbox and just play it, because I'd like to see what she thinks of it. I don't know if I'd be able to watch, because I'm like, that's not my Chloe, and then I would storm out the room, and I'm like, you're playing it wrong. But I would just, I'd like to see what she thinks about it as well, because as the three of us have said, we just enjoyed it so much. It was such a fantastic game.
I get the feeling that if she plays it, you'll just be there, just like squeaking behind her, going, "I can't believe you did that."
don't do. But I do that. I think I've said before. I do that with Zelda, where when she's playing, like doing a shrine or something like that. If I've already done that shrine, I'm like, ooh, and she's like, "What? Stop doing it! Stop making a noise, whistling or humming, or I do this involuntary humming when I know the answer that maybe she's doing it wrong. I start humming, and she just wants to punch me in the face. I think so. But no, it's no, Life. Like I say, Life is Strange prequel. Hopefully, we'll get that soon. Hopefully, it won't be too far away. But Life is Strange right now. If you don't know what we're talking about, you have a PlayStation Plus account, jump on it. And then from one game to maybe kind of complete opposite of the spectrum, but equally as awesome, it's Gears of War 4.
I was wondering where that transition was going to go from one game to another.
A teen angst to another teen angst. No, so Gears of War 4 is getting an update today. The update is dropping today, and this update is, as they said on Xbox Wire, they said that this is the biggest ever update for Gears of War series, and this is called the Rise of Horde. So it's arriving today, and it's basically they're shaking up Horde. They're adding new skills, so you get 3 per class. You can level those skills up to level 6. There's more loot drops, there's changes, and there's also new difficulty levels. Now, all of this DLC, and I'll go through the difficulty levels in a moment because they're crazy, but all of this DLC, including a whole new lot of achievements, I think 500 points of achievements, it's all free. So you don't have to own the season pass, the Ultimate Edition or anything. This is free to everyone who is playing Gears of War right now. We get this Horde updates, and they're not slicing the player base in half or anything like that, but we now get some really good class-based level ups and power ups. So you get extra focus power if you're a scout, so you can turn invisible. So if you power up your scout, your sniper, you can now be invisible, which is fantastic for Horde. You can just hide somewhere and you'll be able to take it out, and all of this really is for Horde, but the difficulty levels are also for campaign as well. So the difficulty levels, they've added 2 new difficulty levels. They've added Iron Man and Inconceivable difficulty level.
I love that name.
And so Iron Man is just insane times 2. It is kind of, as it says, it is just crazy. This is a real Inconceivable is a step up from Insane. So Inconceivable is the kind of Insane plus. So you'll be weaker, the enemies will be stronger, and it really kind of encourages you to level your skills up to level 6 to try and protect yourself just a little bit. And so Inconceivable is in Horde. It also flows through to campaign as well. But the most exciting bit, and I just will not be playing this, is that the Iron Man skill difficulty, or the difficulty, transfers to both Horde and campaign. But in campaign, if you die, you restart the campaign all the way from the start. So,
so not just the level, the entire campaign.
Not just the level. You go back to square one.
That's going to focus the mind.
It really is. I want to see some playthroughs of this. This is something I would watch. Not maybe the whole thing, but just kind of like a couple of those real tricky levels, because a death and a kill is an instant permadeath, and you go right back to the start. I mean, if you're going to add longevity, because I always used to like the skulls in Halo 3 that made you restart the mission, like especially when you were playing 4 of you, there was a great incentive just for one of you to try and recharge your shields, to get away from the action, just hide. Yes.
But so can you imagine just being on like there's going to be people experiencing this, but that last the last boss, and someone takes a dive and sends you all back.
So if you're playing the campaign, you can toggle Iron Man kind of on and off. So you can say, right, I'm going to do Iron Man, but I'm going to do it on easy. But still, if you die, you go right back to the start. So the campaign is 10 hours in length, probably a little bit longer than that. So you can imagine, like you say, you're right at the end, big crescendo to the end of that level, and it's it gets a little bit tricky. Nicola and I will be played through it in co-op, died a few times at the end, and then that would take you all the way back. It's just crazy. But there are achievements out there for anyone who wants that high-risk challenge. There's achievements there.
So, what sort of size of update am I looking forward to for this? Because, it sounds like it's just a difficulty setting. It sounds like it might be a couple of 100k at most.
24.5 gig on Xbox One.
What?
So
that sounds insane.
On Xbox One, it's 24.5 gig update. Windows
that's half the size of the existing game.
On Windows 10, it's 29 gig.
Well, I mean, I'll forgive them a bit more for some 4K textures, but...
Yes. So what this does, it actually takes the footprint of Gears of War 4 on Xbox One up to 78.5 gig.
I am honestly going to go downstairs after this and make sure that I have not got auto updates turned on for Gears of War. I might just uninstall Gears of War 4 for this point in time.
on Windows 10, it takes you up to 93 gig.
Oh my word.
But there's new maps. There's some new maps. There's some new maps, and there's some new maps as well as all those new skills. And I'll put a link to gearsofwar.com.
Okay, some new maps at least explain it a little, yeah.
Yes, and then we also have a free trial of Gears of War. Now we'll be posting this show maybe on the 8th of June, but from the 9th of June to the 15th, there is a free trial for Gears of War 4. So you could finish the campaign in that time, and anything you play in 10 hours. So you have 10 hours of the full game trial, so you've got 10 hours. So you can get a real good chunk of that campaign done, if not finish it in kind of 10 hours. But anything that you do will flow over if you then bought the game. So if you then, after that 10-hour demo between the 9th of June and the 15th, if there's things that you like, if you're enjoying the Horde, the Versus mode, then all of your unlocks will then roll over. So it's a full game unlock. So you do get Horde, you do get Versus, you do get campaign. So it's all there to play between the 9th and the 15th of June.
Superb.
So yeah, so that's it. So Gears. I'm looking forward. It might even make me jump back because you, Manny, myself, and Nicola, we went through the Horde, didn't we? We did levels 1 to 50.
Yes, which was intense. I think on even the easier difficulty setting, we probably tried it on.
Well, exactly. So you imagine what we'd be like on Inconceivable. We'd be lucky if we got to double figures. But yeah, but there's some, like I say, there's some new maps and there's some new skills to unlock, which achievements are linked to that. So it's almost like maybe we could jump back in and kind of play a bit more because we just haven't played it since then. I think we had that night and then that was it. It was just
I think we got our films of stress levels as well that night.
Yes, indeed. But it's great fun and it looks fantastic. So last piece of news is with you.
Yes, speaking of inconceivable, it turns out the hope of another PlayStation Vita is equally so. Talking to Time, Sony Interactive America, boss Sean Layden, basically said, to be honest, the Vita just didn't reach critical mass in the US or Western Europe. I don't know if it was that. I don't know if it was that it was more technology people had to carry around or things to charge, or whether their phone or tablet were taking care of that. But once the content slowed in that pipeline, it became hard to keep the Vita as a going concern. So he seemed to be quite open about the fact that the Vita is pretty much it, for the time being at least, when it comes to Sony and the handheld market. Because although it started out reasonably strongly, because I can remember the Uncharted series right at the beginning, that was a good game, especially for the handheld. That was an impressive game to have on the go.
Yes.
But I think over the last couple of years, it seems to have lapsed into pretty much just being an indie machine. Because I enjoy playing with the likes of Rogue Legacy on it and Spelunky, but it didn't seem to draw anything but JRPGs onto the system itself. So yeah, it looks like Sony have actually admitted once and for all that that's it.
So no Vita successor at E3 then?
No, they're waiting for their current peripheral of the headset to slowly wind down at this point in time. Let them disappoint people with that, and then maybe they'll come back for a Vita 2 or a PSP 2.
But you really would, wouldn't you? Right now, if Sony came out and said, this is the successor to Vita, you would just look at it and go, I'm not going to touch it. No matter how sexy it was, I've got my Switch. I'm happy. The Nindies are coming out on it. I'm getting great first party titles, and it is the next Nintendo console. Where this is just forever just an add-on. So it's a shame because I loved my Vita up until I got my Switch. My Vita was always in my bag. It was always there. It was always for as you said, for those indies, for those free PlayStation Plus games. It was just quite nice to play.
Yeah, it was a really nice piece of hardware as well. I think the touch screen at the back was something they added that I don't think they really needed. But overall, I would definitely say I was far happier with my Vita than many consoles I've had in the past. But it's interesting to say that Layden actually called out the fact that the Switch is what Nintendo fan base were after. They pretty much said that many people are a two-console family with the PlayStation and Nintendo sitting side by side. So they can see the fact that they've already superseded what the Vita in the West was trying. So at least it's a nice little nod to the rivals there.
Yeah, that's really good. It's quite nice, isn't it, when you do get that recognition? Phil Spencer does that a lot as well. He's always saying, we're always recognising that when when Sony have launched a game or when they've done something well. It's nice to see that, because I kind of like to think that the gaming industry is big friendly environment rather than the kind of this console war that we make up in our head.
I think the console war mainly exists on forums, to be honest. So.
Yes, you could be right, actually. Oh, spot on. Excellent stuff. And with that, that's about it for this episode. Huge thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed our E3 predictions. Thank you very much, James, for pulling up a mic.
It was a pleasure. Hopefully get the VR jackets on next time round.
Yes. We don't have a VR news desk this week.
We can't have it without Darren.
No,
it would be sacrilege.
Yeah, and now it's time for the VR news desk. We'll have nothing to say. It's just like, PlayStation VR has actually sold over 1 million copies. There you go. Done. Don't forget, you can keep up with us at gamersoflostpark.com. You can also find us on Facebook. On Twitter, we're at LostSparkPod. You can find us on YouTube, and also the Gamers of Lost Spark PS4 and PS4 community and Xbox One club. James, where can people find you online?
I am Big Sheep on Twitter, Xbox Live, PlayStation and Nintendo.
And for me, I'm Chessman on Xbox Live and Nintendo Switch. I'm PS-Chessman on the PlayStation Network and Chessman UK on the Twitter. If you have any feedback, please send it to our email address. That's feedback@gamersoflostpark.com. Also, if you're feeling generous, please leave us a review on iTunes. So that's about it. James, enjoy E3, sir, and we will
Thank you very much.
Talk to you when you get back.
Indeed. Everyone else enjoy it. We'll have some gossip, hopefully, when we get back.
E3!